You're listening to the 4th annual Very Merry Holiday edition of the No Nonsense Roundtable, a weekly show broadcast on Rochester, New York's 50,000-watt Alhart radio station, News Radio Wham 1180. And now your host, Dom Genova.
You're listening to the 2024 No Nonsense Roundtable Christmas Show. Recorded, well, most of it recorded, at Fanatics Pub and Blue Stage in Lima, New York, otherwise known as the Middle Finger Lake Performing Arts Center, at least once a year. Middle Finger Lake, where life is perfect but could always be better. Go to middlefingerlake.com. That's middlefingerlake.com.
Let me tell you a little bit about Middle Finger Lake and the way we got here. So, as a young fellow, I always used to listen to Garrison Keillor. And what I found out is like half the people in the world know Garrison Keillor and half the people don't know Garrison Keillor. But if you know Garrison Keillor, he had this fictional town called Lake Wobegon. And you would listen to this old-time radio show back in the 80s. It was really, really cool. And he constructed a whole town and what they did and how they lived. And it was Lake Wobegon, where the women are strong, the men are good looking, and the children are all above average. And so, sort of to poke fun a little bit at Webster too, where life is worth living. I went, yeah. But Middle Finger Lake is where life is perfect, but could always be better. Okay. So we have this Middle Finger Lake going. So what's the idea? Let's use this to raise some money for a very worthwhile organization, the Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp. And we'll get a little bit into this, the camp and what they do. But we do have. I had the privilege. I've gotten to be kind of good friends with WEASE. WEASE is a cool guy. So I zoomed WEASE. That sounds bad, doesn't it? I zoomed WEASE. Like it's supposed to stand for something other than zoom, I zoomed WEASE. But we do have a recording here. People say tape, right? Oh, something got taped. I got taped. You don't tape anymore. There's no tape. But anyway, Justine, could you kindly play that?
Recording in progress. That's pretty good. Hey, everybody, I have a real Rochester guy right here, and he's down someplace where you don't get any lake effect snow, which is
That's right.
great. And everybody's favorite brother WEASE. And, the only reason I'm calling you, I know you're a Rochester guy and just want to say Merry Christmas to the people here, at my party tonight. Now what happens, you haven't been here for this, but this is like the 3rd or 4th year we've done this, Brother WEASE. For my Christmas show, we turned this stage into the Middle Finger Lakes Performing Arts Center, the town of Middle Finger Lakes. So that's what we're in the middle of, but I know you want to say Merry Christmas to everybody.
Well, that's it. I know, there's some friends of mine at the gathering. You got great blues music, which I've always loved. So, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you folks. I hope everybody has a great season. I love everybody at home. And Dom is a talking dude. See ya later.
Yo! Hey, thanks, Brother WEASE. Merry Christmas.
All right. You too, bro. Goodbye.
That's it.
If I can figure out how to, was that it?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm trying to figure out how to hang up. That ain't working. I gotta turn my.
I tell you, Brother WEASE, if I get on my computer tomorrow morning and you're still there, I'll give you a call. How about that?
Two old guys with Zoom.
Now, one of the things I've come to realize over the years is that Rochester has a fantastic musical culture, and one of the performers who lives here, Joe Bricado, a fantastic blues singer, came up with this song about Christmas. Now listen to this. It is absolutely fantastic.
Christmas time in New York City, caught up in the holiday glow. Central Park is glistening in the snow. Ooh, there's no place in the world like Manhattan, city of spectacular views. Shopping up and down the avenues. Ooh, we're gathered here together in Rockefeller Center. You can feel the energy. The season has ignited. We're all excited, lighting up the Christmas tree. The skyline is majestic, the night is electric, lit up like a big billboard. It can't get any better than Christmas in New York. This town really knows how to party. Music and magic fill the air. Santa Claus is dancing in Times Square. Yeah, we're gathered here together in Rockefeller Center. You can feel the energy. The season has ignited. We're all excited, lighting up the Christmas tree. The skyline is majestic, the night is electric, lit up like a big billboard. It can't get any better than Christmas in New York. New York, New York, New York. It can't get any better than Christmas in New York. 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 It can't get any better. Nothing like New York City. Can't get any better. Christmas in New York.
We'll be back with more of our holiday special after this.
This is Dom Genova for my friend John Myers. He owns Myers Creative, but he also owns Life Interviews. Interviews, just the way it sounds. Go to lifeinterviews.com and see their program. Imagine if you could hand down more than photo albums and boxes and mementos to your family. How about a video of you and your story? It's wonderful. People go online to get their DNA. How about passing down your image and your story? Lifeinterviews.com, just the way it sounds, interviews. This is Dom Genova for my friend Jack Greco at Jack Greco Furniture. You know, someone once used a line years ago, and it was, I'm not asking you to buy on faith, I'm asking you to compare. Who's Lee Iacocca? That's a heck of a statement, and that's what I'm asking you to do with Jack Greco Furniture. When you're out shopping for furniture, go look at the stuff he has. It is absolutely fantastic, not like you're going to see at one of these big box stores, and you will be happy. Go see Jack Greco or visit him on jackgreco.com.
This segment brought to you by the Middle Finger Lakes Chamber of Commerce.
And now a message from our friends at Gertie's Cat Cafe, Wedding Chapel, and Christmas Store. Just in life-size cardboard cutouts of Joe Biden. You put him in the threshold of your door, just in the way of people coming in. He's facing in, his back is facing out, and if you tap his back and say, "Pardon me," He does. Go down to the Cat Cafe.
Anyway, where we're going to go, we're going to talk a little bit about the wonderful things that the Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp does. And I'd like to invite Mr. Don Alhart up here to spend some time with us to talk about these wonderful things. Now, I'll tell you how I got involved with the Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp. So Mr. Alhart has always treated me with a lot of dignity and respect, which I think he does with everybody. But he says, you know, you really should come down to the Sunshine Camp because you have to see what they do. And you know, Tracy gave Nita and I a tour. I'll never forget it. It's 160 acres. And then she starts explaining what they do. Well, they do this for these type of, you know, these type of kids, and this for those type of kids, and whatever. And I have to tell you, it's heartwarming. It's heartwarming. It's local. It's something that is multidimensional because you're not only doing something for the child in need, but you're doing something for the family in need. You can give the family a break sometimes, and you can, you can hear better stories about this than from me. Come on up, Don.
You know, I think the best way I can talk about the Sunshine Camp goes back to a year when one of our presidents, Matt Adams, said, "You have to share the magic of Rotary Sunshine Camp." Ironically, the theme of International Rotary this year is the magic of Rotary. Our district governor, Dave Demers, is here. That's the theme, the magic of Rotary. Well, long before the magic of Rotary internationally, a president of our Rochester Rotary Club challenged me to share the magic of the Sunshine Camp. And he said, you know, we talk about that camp. We talk about all it does for children and adults with special challenges. And as Rotarians, we go out there maybe for the carnival, we go out for a picnic, we go out to bring people there. But how much time do you really spend there, he said. Spend 24 hours, not just a 2-hour visit. So we were challenged, and I took him up and went out and spent 24 hours, not just to visit the camp, to live at the camp, to adopt a camper, Flip Polizzi, who became a friend to this day, made out his Christmas card last night, as a matter of fact. And he was a young child with cerebral palsy. Probably one of the smartest individuals I've ever met. But the ability to communicate was a challenge. The ability to move was a challenge. So I was his charge for 24 hours. I put him to bed. I changed the diaper because he needed to have that done. I fed him the food, breakfast and lunch and dinner. And we formed a relationship. And I saw what that camp was able to do for Flip. It gave him a sense of independence that he did not experience the rest of his days. And it gave me a chance to really see what that camp was all about. You know, we look at camps, we look at videos, we see what, you know, all of the wonderful facilities we have out there. You know, when I remember talking to others with cerebral palsy that say, I'm in a wheelchair all day. When I go to that camp and I get in the special wheelchair that lowers me into that pool, I can move, I can swim, I am liberated. I can't walk when I get back out, but I can feel that motion of swimming when I'm in that pool. Or I may not be able to, on my own, climb a rock climbing wall, but with special equipment because I need that, I can do it. I can go to the treehouse. And we have a beautiful treehouse out there. Pete Saratori is here now, Pete and Tracy both responsible for that. And someone in a wheelchair can go into that treehouse on one level. And when you go through the inside and out on a platform, you are high above the rest of the plane. So you can really get the experience of climbing into a treehouse without ever going there. So I just share that because that, you know, to me, not only does it benefit the campers, but it benefits the families. There are families who have to take care of a child all year long. And for that 1 week, it's a real challenge. I won't ramble on, but I want to share my favorite story that others know. And thank you. This was a father who came to Rotary one day to talk about his experience with his daughter. She went to the camp that was for kids with diabetes. And they were very reluctant, as a lot of parents are, to send their kids away. It's the first time they've had that kind of independence. And they fully expect, as Brandy knows, they fully expect the first night they're going to get that call, Mom, Dad, come pick me up. And that call doesn't come. Then Mom and Dad get a little more worried. Why aren't they calling? Why aren't they missing us? What's going on out there? And the week goes on, and they don't really hear from them. I guess they probably do now with videos and things. But back then, this father, and talking on behalf of his family, said, we sent our daughter to the camp for kids with diabetes, and we didn't hear from her for a week. And we were worried any days they were going to call and say, come pick me up. The call never came. And as it often happens, when camping session ends and kids have to go home, they don't want to go home. They would rather stay there. But the father, as he began to well up with tears in his eyes, said, my daughter came home that night. And one of the things he had done since his daughter was juvenile diabetes was very young. It was his chore to give her the insulin shot. And so they had dinner, and he turned to her and he said, oh, it's time for your insulin shot. And she said, Dad, you don't have to do that anymore. They taught me how to do it myself at Sunshine Camp. And the father tells that story because it's emotional, obviously, because his little girl is having a chance to grow up in a way that he didn't think would be possible. And that's what Sunshine Camp does. As your jingle, I don't know if people know that generously donated Chuck Mercado to bring his talents and create a wonderful jingle. I don't know if you have that in your files at all.
Yeah, actually, I do. I do have your bright spot.
Okay.
But I didn't want to play that bit because I didn't want to seem like it was self-serving. But can we play that?
It's a magical place for kids of all abilities. The Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp. Where kids have no barriers to fun. The Rochester Rotary Sunshine Camp.
That really tells the story more than I could.
That was done by Chuck Mercado. Actually, a good friend of Mike Whittemore. Mike introduced me to Chuck, but Chuck does really great stuff. But that what a really neat. Of course, they call that a donut. So Don can voice in between there, whatever they have going on. But we're really proud of that because that's it's I don't know. Chuck did a hell of a job.
But again, it's going out there. I urge people in this room. I won't ask you to raise your hands if you've been there, but I hope you consider doing that, to go out and see what it does, how it impacts the lives of those who go there. And talk to parents if it happens to be the time when they're coming or going, because they can tell the best stories of all, more than I can.
Well, thank you, Don.
We'll be back with more of the very merry holiday edition of the No Nonsense Roundtable after this.
This is Don from Martinizing Dry Cleaning in Fairport. Todd, the owner, was a corporate guy just like me. Left his corporate job to start his business, Martinizing Dry Cleaning in Fairport. And boy, what a great business it is. He picks your clothes up and drops them off, which is really great, especially now that the weather's getting the way it is. I have to tell you, they have a 4.9 rating out of 5 on Google. Go see them. 425-4242. 425-4242. I use them. You should too.
This segment brought to you by the Middle Finger Lakes Chamber of Commerce. Due to a change in economic conditions, the Dollar Store has applied to the Middle Finger Lakes Zoning Office to expand their signage and its content. The Dollar Store now is proposed to be called the $10 Store. Everything at the $10 store will cost under $10. As the owner, Mortimer Smith, does not want to be caught in this situation ever again, the new sign will have enough room to move the decimal point down at any point in time. So years from now, they might be the $100 store or the $1,000 store. Stay tuned.
Well, there's no doubt that the town of Middle Finger Lake has gone through changes. A lot of businesses that used to be popular, they just don't exist anymore. There's no TV repairman. There's a pharmacy there, but it happens to be a Walgreens. It used to be Joe Brickell's Rexall, and that's gone. That's happened to a lot of places. Bob's Pretty Good Buick is there, and I have to tell you his marketing statement that buy a Buick, it's better than a Chevy, and don't be putting on airs. Buy a Buick. That's pretty good, because that's the way people are in Middle Finger Lake. They don't like putting on airs. But it's gone through some changes. There's some rumor that there's going to be a McDonald's in town one of these days, but they just haven't found that. There's Martha's Diner, and that's been around for a long time. Martha Simpson, and she's been there for Martha and Bob have owned the diner since it's been 50, 55 years now, and they were high school sweethearts, and they used to work there together, and they decided to buy out the old owner back when the old owner was retiring 50 years ago, and it's just one of those stories. I don't know how they do it, because they work together, and they're married. They stay together, So that's like 24/7 with somebody, and that's quite admirable. But like anything else, Martha's Diner is starting to get kind of look like it's getting to be a little old, and 50 years ago, there was somebody that would buy this. Some entrepreneur would come in and buy the diner. But in this day and age, they're looking to retire, and they're going to have a tough time. I mean, he's still cooking the food, and she's still serving the food. You can see her. You can see her every day. I mean, Martha will be able to carry 6 plates of food all at the same time, and not drop any of it, or have a drip of coffee that falls in the wrong place. It's quite a talent. I was there one day, and I happened to see something happen though. So Martha, she's cleaning the table, and the Rodriguez family comes in. There's 4 kids and the husband and wife. There's Robert and Sophia, and Martha's cleaning the table and whatever, and she's looking at them, and she knows the price of eggs. Martha knows the price of eggs. She knows her customers, and she tries taking care of them. And she looks over and takes their order, and Martha comes back, and Bob is cooking his food, and he cooks it up, and the bill's going to come these days to like $100. I mean, it's like it's like five orders of pancakes or eggs, and 1 of chicken fingers. So there's always one kid that wants the chicken fingers. They live on chicken fingers. So I see her, and she goes back to Bob, and they start whispering to each other, and Bob says to her, he says, "I know what you're thinking." She goes, "Yeah." He goes, "What, you're going to do the stranger thing?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to do the stranger thing." And she walks over to the family, and she has this bill, but she says, "Well, the stranger in the corner for Christmas picked up this bill for you, and I just want to let you know. I can't let you know who it is. It was just somebody traveling, and Merry Christmas." And the family is thrilled with this, because they were either going to have a breakfast like that, or have the money to pay for gas to go see the relatives down on Staten Island, and they the ability to do that. And Martha goes back to her counter, and she's wiping the counter, and she's looking at Bob, and she's going, yeah, we can't do this with everybody, but sometimes you can with one person, one family, and boy, does it feel good.
Well, gang, you're listening to our 2024 Christmas show from the Middle Finger Lake Performing Arts Center at Fanatics Pub in Lima. Now, middlefingerlake.com is the place to go if you'd like to learn more about Middle Finger Lake, or maybe buy some merch. middlefingerlake.com.
Now, before we go, I have one more thing for you, and it's a wonderful rendition of Silent Night by our friend Scott Mayo from LA, and here it is.
We'll be back with more of the No Nonsense Roundtable Very Merry Holiday Edition after this.
This is Dom Geneva for my friend Jim Shelley and his Fanatics Pub and Blues Stage in Lima, New York. You go up 390 or down 390, but once you get to exit 10, you just go east a couple of miles and you're there to Fanatics Pub and Blues Stage. He has great shows. You can see him on fanaticspub.com. Get your tickets. They're all reserved. They're all very reasonable, and it is a great place to have a bite. Fanatics Pub and Blues Stage in Lima, New York. Fanatics.pub.com.
This segment brought to you by the Middle Finger Lakes Chamber of Commerce.
And now a public service announcement for Kia owners from Sheriff Rod Laxter of the Middle Finger Lakes Sheriff's Department. Own a Kia? For the love of God, just leave the damn keys in the stinking thing so we won't have to have a high-speed chase with some jackass and put our lives in danger. We all know your insurance company's gonna pay for it anyway, and who gives a rat's hiney? You could have bought a Buick, but no, you had to buy a Kia. Even the parking valet is not impressed. I'm sick of this. A public service announcement for Kia owners from a very disturbed Sheriff Rod Laxter. Well, we're back listening to the No Nonsense Roundtable Christmas show, and a very special guest we have is Mr. Don Alhart, who's going to read his book, Sibley's Christmas Adventure.
Ever since he could remember, Christmas was his favorite time of the year. After all, that's when he got to see Santa Claus himself. And listen as all the boys and girls sat on his lap with their long list to tell him what they wanted for Christmas. And best of all, it was all happening in his home, the 4th floor of the big Sibley's department store. The little mouse lived in the wall right behind Santa's big chair. And just like the store, his name was Sibley. Sibley lived there all year long, but he was most excited every winter when the workmen would set up the giant holiday display. It was called the Magic Corridor, and the boys and girls would walk through a beautiful winter wonderland, complete with a sleigh, reindeer, and even a Santa's workshop. Sibley loved to watch the mechanical elves as they made imaginary presents to deliver to children all over the world. Someday, thought Sibley, he might even get to the real North Pole to meet those elves in person. For now, though, Sibley was content to see the children come to the toy department every year and watch their starry-eyed faces all aglow with the joy of visiting Santa's magic corridor. Sometimes, as quiet as the mouse he was, Sibley would scamper out of his little hole to sit under Santa's chair as the boys and girls recited their Christmas lists. In the background, he could hear Mr. Joe Benet, playing along with Gene Autry's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on a kazoo. Joe was there every year, and moms and dads would buy kazoos for their children so they could sing and play along too. One day, though, after a long winter's nap, Sibley was awakened to some loud noises. Sibley knew that work crews carefully put the magic corridor in storage every year, but something was different this year. He overheard one workman say, "You know, I'm going to miss setting this up next year. It always gets me in the holiday spirit. I can't believe this wonderful old department store is finally closing." "Oh no," said Sibley. "I can't believe what I'm hearing." But sure enough, Sibley did hear those workmen. "Everything's got to go," they said. "Say goodbye to the magic corridor." Oh, Sibley was so sad he started to cry. All the toys would be gone, and the make-believe toy workshop would be torn down, and even Santa's big chair. And oh no, worst of all, Santa and all of the boys and girls would be gone too. "Oh, woe is me," said Sibley. "What am I going to do?" That night, Sibley couldn't sleep. He just tossed and turned in his little bed behind the little hole in the wall, right next to where Santa's chair used to be. Finally, Sibley decided to go for a walk. Sometimes he would jump on the big brass escalators and jump off just as the moving step would disappear. Sometimes he would go all the way to the main floor just to see the famous clock under which shoppers would meet. Tonight, though, the escalators were still, so Sibley just slid down the long, rubbery banisters. Pretty soon, he was on the second floor where work crews had been clearing out all of the racks of clothing, and that's when he spotted it. All the way at the front of the store, a giant walkway. Sibley crept slowly toward the giant glass-lined tunnel and began to cross it. If he looked down, he could see all the cars and buses on the snow-filled Main Street. Sibley just kept on going. Creep mouse, until he was all the way to the other side. Just as he was safely to the other side, he was startled by a small voice saying, "Hello." "Wow, you scared me," said Sibley. "Who are you and what are you doing here?" "My name is McCurdy," the little mouse replied, "and you must be Sibley. I heard you might be coming, and I'm here to help you on your journey. Just follow me." So Sibley followed McCurdy through another big department store, through the ladies' shoes, past a little tea room, and finally to a giant shopping mall. Sibley looked up to see shiny silver cars hanging from a rail that ran all the way around the mall. "What's that?" he asked. "Oh," said McCurdy, "that's the Midtown monorail. You'll have to jump on board for the rest of your journey." "But where am I going?" said Sibley. "I can't tell you," said McCurdy, "except to say it will be a magical trip to a very special place." And so Sibley crawled up into the very last car on the monorail, and as soon as he did, the lights came on, and the silver car began to move so fast that Sibley bumped his head on the seat. Sibley hung on for dear life as the monorail car picked up speed and then broke free from the rail and started climbing toward the ceiling, up and away as the magic monorail soared through the air, crashed through the window, and jetted into the sky. Sibley looked down on the city below as it got smaller and smaller, and he soared higher and higher. "Oh, I'm so tired," said Sibley. "I think I'll just close my eyes and take a little nap." As he slept, Sibley dreamed of his happy memories on the 4th floor of the big department store. Oh, how he would miss the boys and girls and the elves and, of course, Santa Claus. All of a sudden, Sibley awoke with a jolt. The monorail had come to a stop. When Sibley looked out the window, he thought he was still dreaming because he saw the reindeer, Santa's workshop, and yes, even Santa Claus himself. "Where am I?" he said. "What happened?" And that's when he heard Santa say, "Hey, Sibley, I thought you would never get here. Welcome to the North Pole." As Sibley looked around, he saw that everything was just as it was on the 4th floor of the department store. There was even a little mouse hole right next to Santa's big chair. Sibley crawled in it to take another nap, but was soon awakened by voices, little voices, this time as boys and girls lined up to tell Santa what was on their list. And then he heard it. He couldn't believe his little ears. The sounds of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, as the boys and girls serenaded Santa with their kazoos. Sibley slowly crept out of the hole and nestled himself beneath Santa's chair. This has been a very special day, he thought. A wonderful day indeed. And as he drifted into a night of dreams, listening to the music, he thought he heard McCurdy's little voice saying, "Merry Christmas to all," in Sibley's Magic Corridor.
Well, gang, that's our Christmas show for 2024. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a very, very wonderful Christmas. Well, we'll see you next week, or more accurately, you'll hear us next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Tune in every week from 10 to 11 on News Radio Wham 1180, and check out our past shows at nononsenseroundtable.com. Happy holidays.